Price inflation was the only KPI to grow year on year, with all others in decline. This is a continued trend. Price inflation at total market has impacted all other KPIs. The discounters and the high street were the only channels to see positive engagement. Winners in this period include Marks & Spencer, Aldi and Morrisons, all of whom grew value/volume and had growth ahead of market. At total market, price inflation was the only KPI to grow year on year. However, the decline across all other KPIs has resulted in value/volume decline overall. Marks & Spencer outperformed the market over the 12-week period, with price deflation being offset by the growth across all other KPIs. Price inflation at total market has, on the whole, resulted in a decline in all other KPIs across all channels, with only a couple of channels still being able to drive purchase frequency. The total Apple category has struggled to engage with shoppers in this period, with the exception of the high street. Winners include Marks & Spencer, Waitrose, Aldi and Sainsbury's. Marks & Spencer's share growth has been driven through tactical activity, including Rocket TPR, Kissabel Fresh Market Special and British End secondary in-store spacing at £2 price point tray, which has worked in driving sales momentum and trading shoppers up. Waitrose promoted across their tiers, including premium, core, organics and entry, encouraging shoppers to trade up, but also driving value perception through their entry price point. They also ran 20% off core varieties through their Waitrose card, rewarding loyal shoppers. Aldi's spend growth ahead of volume has been impacted by reduced activity year on year, along with price inflation within the category and with promotional offers also inflated versus last year. Sainsbury's increased activity year on year with offers across tiers to drive premiumisation, but also remained competitive against discounters on their entry price point through their EDLP strategy through the Aldi Price Match campaign. Price inflation is seen across the high street, except with Tesco, Marks & Spencer and Ocado, which has largely correlated to a decline in shopper engagement, trip volume and trip frequency. Winners in this period were all able to engage positively with new shoppers. Pink Lady remains as the winning variety, being the only variety to see positive penetration gains. All other core varieties have declined in value/volume except for Granny Smith Value, largely as a result of price inflation, resulting in a drop-off in engagement, which is a continued trend. Over the latest quarter, Marks & Spencer have seen positive switching gains, largely from Sainsbury and Tesco. Existing shoppers have traded up/spent more, and there have been shoppers won, both existing Marks & Spencer shoppers trading into the category for the first time, but also category arrivals, those completely new to the Apple category. During this period, core and premium variety tray packs secured secondary in-store spacing, which has worked in driving frequency of purchase. Visibility is key to drive engagement with shoppers. Marks & Spencer have grown ahead of market on spend and volume, with growth against a declining market. Significant growth in other has been driven through Fresh Market Special activity this year versus nothing last year, along with TPR on Rocket apples and secondary spacing on premium and niche variety tray packs. Extra spacing in store along with tactical activity has resulted in a significant uplift in new shoppers to the Apple category. Marks & Spencer also outperformed market on Braeburn, with growth against a declining market, along with Cox, Bramley and Red Delicious. Growth on Braeburn, Bramley and Cox have been driven through secondary spacing £2 promo, which has encouraged shoppers to trade up. The volume decline in Bramley has been impacted by the switch back to per kilo versus per piece last year. Winning variety Pink Lady and other has been able to drive significant category arrivals during this period for total market. All other core varieties have struggled to engage with shoppers except all other, in which shoppers have traded into seasonal packs. Marks & Spencer has been able to engage positively across all its core varieties except Gala, going against trend of market. At Total Market, organics was the only pack format to grow spend and volume, with growth across all of its KPIs. Price inflation across all pack formats has resulted in a decline in shopper engagement, with shoppers trading down into entry. M&S outperformed market across all pack formats except organics and polybag, with significant penetration gains in tray driven through tactical activity and secondary spacing. Polybags declined across all varieties except Cox and Braeburn. At Total Market, all pack formats except loose and entry grew value/volume share. Marks & Spencer grew share across its tray, loose and entry formats, with polybag and organic losing out. At Total Market, pairs have declined in value and volume, with price inflation setting back all other KPIs. Marks & Spencer have outperformed the market during this period. Unlike Total Market, they have been able to positively engage with new shoppers. Although the market has seen price inflation, the decline in spend overall is as a result of the decline of all other KPIs, including penetration, trip volume and trip frequency. Winners over the latest period include Marks & Spencer, Aldi, Morrisons and Sainsbury's. Marks & Spencer's performance was driven through increased activity year on year across core and niche varieties, featuring loose conference, ready-to-eat commerce and ready-to-eat conference on TPR versus ripen at home conference EDLP last year. Aldi has grown spend ahead of volume in this period, driven through price inflation. Aldi promoted conference on Super 6 TPR, which has driven frequency of purchase along with TPR on ready-to-eat to trade shoppers up into the top tier. Morrisons' promotional strategy has focused on 2 for £3 across both ready-to-eat conference and seasonal SKUs, along with TPR activity on its ripen at home sweet pears versus last year when the 2 for £3 did not run. Sainsbury's continue to promote something for everyone with mini pear poly on Aldi Price Match, along with TPR on ready-to-eat sweet and juicy. While Sainsbury's has not brought in new shoppers in this period, the offer encourages existing shoppers to stay within the category. Out of the winners in this period, Marks & Spencer and Aldi were the two retailers to positively engage with new shoppers despite seeing inflated prices. Aldi was the only retailer to grow across all of its KPIs. Marks & Spencer had switching gains from across the high street. M&S only lost out to Ocado and Lidl. Existing shoppers traded up spent more, and there have been significant shoppers won and category arrivals. Williams was the winning variety in this period, the only variety to engage with new shoppers and see value growth. All other core varieties lost out and declined in value and volume. Please note, Williams is likely to have been the seasonal packs, with Williams down year on year. Marks & Spencer have outperformed the market in spend and volume in this period, with growth against a declining market. Growth of Rocha is as a result of increased store ranging. M&S have also seen growth from conference and commis. This is due to their promotional TPR activity this year on loose conference, ready-to-eat commis and ready-to-eat conference versus EDLP on ripen at home conference last year. For the Total Market, ready-to-eat tray and organics were the only pack formats to grow in value and volume, as shoppers have traded up into premium tiers. Marks & Spencer outperformed the market on loose, but lost out to market across all other pack formats. The decline in their polybag variety, which features ripen at home conference, has been impacted by shoppers trading into ready-to-eat as a result of tactical activity. At Total Market, ready-to-eat tray, polybag variety and organics grew value and volume share. Marks & Spencer grew its loose share, with all other formats losing out. At Total Market, price deflation has eroded spend, with a decline in shopper engagement and trip frequency holding back volume growth. Marks & Spencer have outperformed the market with growth against a declining market. Over the latest period, price deflation across all channels except the high street has eroded spend. Despite the level of deflation within the marketplace, the category is struggling to engage with shoppers. Winners in this period include Marks & Spencer, Aldi and Tesco. Marks & Spencer were the only retailer to see an increase in value and volume growth. They did this by their continued Fresh Market special promotional activity on loose ripen at home avocados year on year, along with ready-to-eat growth ahead of market. Aldi had volume growth ahead of value as a result of price deflation, although they did not run any activity in this period versus last year. Price deflation has encouraged shoppers to purchase more per trip. Tesco had steep deflation within their category, which has eroded spend but grown volume. Tesco increased its activity year on year across its range, while also securing Club Card price offer, which attracts significant category arrivals. Price deflation within the range has eroded spend but grown volume. Over the latest period, total market has continued to decline across both pack formats. Price deflation, however, within ready-to-eat has encouraged shoppers to trade up away from ripen at home. Marks & Spencer has outperformed the market across ready-to-eat and ripen at home. Eat and Keep has declined in value and volume as a result of change in shopper mission. Growth in ripen at home has been driven through their net pack and fresh market special activity, which continues to grow year on year. In this period, ready-to-eat growth has been driven through twin and large loose, with extra large marginally down year on year. All retailers have struggled to engage with shoppers in this period as they leave the category altogether. As a result, the high street is relying on existing shoppers to trade up / spend more. Over the latest period, Marks & Spencer had switching gains from across the high street, largely gaining from Tesco and Waitrose. Existing shoppers have spent less and traded down, as well as losing shoppers altogether. At total market, ripen at home tray and ready-to-eat loose were the only pack formats to grow share. Marks & Spencer has been able to grow share across all ready-to-eat and ripen at home formats at the expense of Eat and Keep. Total market price deflation has grown ahead of spend, with the category being able to positively engage with new shoppers, something it has struggled with previously. Marks & Spencer has outperformed market with significant penetration gains and trip volume growth in this period. KPI performance across the channels has been mixed, with discounters coming out on top with growth across all KPIs. Winners over the latest period include Lidl, Aldi and Sainsbury's, all of which have gained share and had growth ahead of market. Lidl had better availability year on year across the plum category, including ready-to-eat deluxe plums and an additional ripen at home plum SKU versus one last year. They also promoted ready-to-eat donut nectarine and ripen at home peaches on TPR in December, with no other activity on the high street. Aldi had increased ranging year on year, including plum, family pack and ripen at home nectarines. They also had better availability of their ripen at home plums in December and had increased plums ranging through the additional of wonky plums. Price deflation within Sainsbury's has grown volume ahead of spend, with TPR activity on ripen at home peaches and better availability on their plum range, including ripen at home plums family bag, ready to eat plums and organic plums. At total market, plums were the only commodity to grow in value and volume, with all other commodities in decline. Marks & Spencer outperformed the market across all commodities. Nectarines was driven through yellow and white nectarine, which was on £2 end, which drove frequency of purchase with strong sales momentum throughout the last quarter. This was also aided by increased ranging year on year. Growth has also been driven through loose range relist and ripen at home punnet. Plums was driven through the fresh market special activity on punnet, which drove volume ahead of value. Availability issues on British plums and core plums early season resulted in shoppers trading up into limited edition plum and green gauges, showing customer preference towards ready-to-eat and speciality lines. In December, increased ripen at home ranging of the 750 gram pack drove incremental sales to the category, along with increased ranging on ready-to-eat plums, resulting in growth year on year. Peaches spend growth was driven through ready-to-eat as a result of an extended season, with an extra 3 weeks versus last year. Peach growth slowed during December, impacted by reduced ranging with no ripen at home punnet and donut peaches. Apricot inflation on ready-to-eat has driven spend over volume, which has been impacted from the 2 for £4 last year. Growth was solely driven through ready-to-eat, with ripen at home removed from the range. There was mixed KPI performance across the high street. Winners in this period largely grew as a result of increased shopper penetration. Aldi was the only retailer to grow across all of its KPIs. Marks & Spencer had positive switching gains during this period. Existing shoppers spent less or traded down. However, they have seen significant shoppers won. At total market, both tray formats, ripen at home and ready to eat, along with ready to eat punnet, grew in value and volume, largely as a result of increased engagement. Marks & Spencer outperformed the market across all pack formats. Loose growth driven from relist, ripen at home punnet, which has been driven through plums and nectarines, with plums introducing a 750 gram pack in the absence of ready to eat. Ready to eat was driven through increased distribution on yellow and white nectarines, ready to eat plums, and trade up into ready to eat apricots through punnet delist. Over the latest period, total market grew share across ripen at home tray and both ready to eat pack formats. Marks & Spencer grew its ripen at home share, with ready to eat losing out.